Hello everyone, my name is Zulfikar Ali and today we will learn about innovation models and how we can select the right innovation model for our company. We will start with the free recap from the previous lectures that we learned. We learn what is innovation and what is the difference between innovation and invention, the types of innovation and innovation metrics. And today we will learn different models of innovation and how we can select the right innovation model for our organization. So for the lecture intended learning outcomes, after the completion of this lecture, you will be able to understand the different innovation models, their characteristics, advantages and disadvantages, and what are the 6 innovation models developed by the Boston Consulting Group, and how we can select the right innovation model for our organizations. So in total, we will learn 12 innovation models, 6 from the Boston and 6 from the literature of innovation management. So innovation models, the technological changes and innovation have become important factor in economic and policy debate. But to understand the process of innovation at firm level has evolved throughout recent decade, from simple linear to sequential and to increasingly complex models which embed diverse range of inter and intra-organizational stakeholders and processes. If we talk about the innovation process, it has a very dynamic character. Therefore, innovation models have been used to manage the innovation in companies. Innovation model also helps to determine the key resources and responsibilities for every stage of innovation, and as well as it also helps to determine the which tools and methods can be used to carry out the innovation process. So we will look at the uh, 12 different innovation models, and we will discuss their advantages and disadvantages. So we will start with the first generation of innovation model. So they call it the push model, the technology push model that was developed by NASA in 60s as a management tool, and they refer as the phase review process. So the idea was to break down the complex process of the space projects, and it focused on pushing the technological innovation through intensive research and development. Basically, the model assumes that technological advances from scientific discovery and R&D become more technological innovation through engineering, marketing, applied research, and manufacturing towards a successful innovation or product as output. The key advantages are that it helps the companies to go for the incremental innovation, that the tasks were completed as one process, and it also reduces the technical uncertainties. The disadvantages include there is no feedback between the processes, and it completely emphasizes on research and development, and no marketing attention was paid. The second generation model. In 1960s, the approach shifted from market push technological push to market pull. The focus began on responding to the market needs. The factor ignored during the first generation was incorporated in the second generation. The process is similar and emphasis on marketing. The market is the source of new ideas for R&D. So the key advantages for this model was it again this model emphasis on the incremental innovation. This model includes cost and benefit analysis, and it also helps the companies to systematically allocate the key resources. Again, the disadvantages are quite the same. There's no feedback between the processes, and both the first and second model, the emphasis on the research and development, and there was no integration of the things. So The third innovation model is called the coupling model. The model was based on the balanced coupling of first and second generation, that means the technological pull and the market push. The third generation model incorporated interaction and feedback loops to recognize that innovation is characterized by the coupling of an interaction between science and technology and the marketplace. The model also integrated multiple in-house functions and interdependent stages, while third generation models are nonlinear with feedback loops and sequential in nature. The key advantages is basically the most obvious, that they included the feedback loop. The third generation models, they produce efficient and standardized innovation. Because of the feedback loop inclusion, there was a transparent and effective communication between the department and between the teams. The disadvantage is it's inappropriate for the radical innovation, and there was no network or external integration. Then comes the integrated model, or we call it the fourth generation model. The fourth generation model follows an integrated model for the business process, move away from the sequential to the parallel process. In response and aiming to reflect the high degree of cross-functional integration within the firm, fourth generation model integrated model reflects significant functional overlaps between the departments and the activities. A further novel feature of this model is that they integrated the concept of external integration in terms of alliance and linkages with the suppliers, customers, universities, and the government agencies. The famous example for such model is the Minnesota Innovation Research Model, and that fourth generation model is also called MIRP. The advantage is obviously it acted the networking between different bodies externally, and the parallel phases, because they help to start the parallel phases rather than one complete and then you can start. The disadvantage is that that model doesn't include any innovation process, and they also exclude the adoption, improvement, and introduction to market approaches. The fifth generation model, we call it the network model. The network model focused on the effective distribution of network processes. It emphasizes on gaining the flexibility and accelerate the development phase. The network model emphasizes that innovation is distributed network processes, which require continuous change across within the firms and between the firms, which is characterized by the range of external inputs, which includes the suppliers, customers, competitors, and the universities. So another novel feature that they include the ICT systems to accelerate the innovation process and communication across the networks. The key advantage is the use of sophisticated technological instruments and networking to pursue the innovation. Then it comes to the open innovation, and we call it the sixth generation model. The open innovation model is also known as the sixth generation model. The model is a network model, and it focuses on the internal and external ideas and external and internal paths. So that model is developed by a well-known researcher, Chesbog, and he explained the open innovation is the use of powerful inflows and outflows of knowledge to accelerate innovation internally and while also expanding the market for the external use of innovation. Open innovation model look at how a combination of two concepts can lead to the technological advancement. Besides, the model present less risk when innovating. The key advantage is that the company can build on the idea on the other ideas, on the others' ideas, and also the advantage is that you can develop your employees, but at the same time, disadvantage can be a disadvantage because The model assumes that your employees have been developed so that they have the capacity and willingness to collaborate. And obviously, there is a risk of external collaboration. You can lose your property right, or you can lose your ideas. So the next, we will go through the six models identified and developed by the Boston Consulting Group. So they define six models. One is the creator, the solution builder, the leverager, the expander, the defender, and the fast follower. So who are the creator? Creator fit the popular notion of highly innovative companies. Typically, they're led by strong, bold, and visionary leaders. They disrupt their core market, protect their intellectual property, and make highly focused big bets so that they become the stuff of the industry. So, Apple is the most famous example for such innovation model. The solution builder, they look to the market for inspiration, drawing on the observation and deep insight to address the customers' priorities and problems. Oh, the famous example is the Nike and the leverager. They create superior business model and then they capitalize on it to sustain their industry leadership. The famous model, the famous clothing brand Zara comes under the leverage. They are using the leverager is innovation model. Expanders, they apply their core capabilities in new ways to take over the adjacent markets and to increase their business growth. Who are the defenders tend to win in a mature and slow growing or changing industry and to innovate defensively in order to protect their advantage. And the last one is the fast follower. They optimize, they build their capabilities across all the dimensions in order to quickly respond to the changes in the market. And the example for the fast follower is the famous Rakuten Penke system. So the next and final question is how we can select the best model or the most suitable model for our company. It's the right innovation model. The variety among the models is the consequence of the lack of consensus as to how an innovation model should look like given the context, environment, and purpose for which they have been developed. So according to the survey done by the Boston Consulting Group, more than 70% CEOs list innovation as the top three areas to focus, but only 16% of the companies believe that they are better in innovation or innovative than their peers or competitors. So what make them fail? Which areas they neglected are overlooked before selecting the right innovation model. So we identified there are two main things that we should focus: the context of the business, market and the technology, and the capabilities to implement the innovation model. So choosing the right innovation model for your company is all about the context, in which industry, in which market you are going to play your game, and which technologies you will incorporate. So industry context matter because only a subset of models can succeed in most industries. Some models are better suited for an increased stakeholder values in certain industries, and they are not successful in other companies. And then the next most important thing is the capabilities. So innovation is one thing, but the capability to innovate is the thing for the right. Now the companies, they are developing their capabilities rather than just go for innovation, because you can frequently innovate when you have the right capabilities. So innovation is part of the successful business strategy. Most often innovators fail when they pursue the wrong innovation model for which they don't have the capabilities. So the assessment and the development of capabilities is most important when you are going to opt for a business or innovation model. So that's all from today's lecture, and I hope you got the point and the concept of different innovation models and how you can select the right innovation model for your company. So thank you so much for your attention.